Greetings and bienvenue, Midnight Crew. Thank you for returning to this broadcast. And welcome to new viewers joining us for the first time. If you like a video, then feel free to subscribe.
I've told this story before on Out. Be Me. 18th century French voyageurs reenacting is my hobby. Floating the Wisconsin River from Washoe to Stevens Point. Last day of the trek. Unusual crisp in the morning. Heavy fog. I decide to get up early to pack up at my outing and have a hearty breakfast in town. Slowly paddle down river. See some Boy Scouts camped on the side of a bank. Slowly paddle as to not make a sound. I can barely see the camp through the fog. Reach outing and change back into 21st century modern clothing. Stop at a diner and get a scrambler with sausage gravy. Hell yay. Bunch of Boy Scouts enter. Like 12 of them with 2 scout leaders. All of them are talking about the ghost fur trader they saw on the river. I inquire about this mysterious ghost fur trader. My face when they described my reenacting garb to the T. My face when realize I'm the ghost fur trader. And I would have gotten away with it too if it wasn't for those meddling kids. I decided to humor these scouts and tell them they saw the old Frenchie, a fur trader from the 1700s. Spin a story on the fly about how Frenchie disappeared on the river, his canoe and all of his supplies drifted all the way to the trading post. Never any trace of old Frenchie ever found. Pay the bill and leave scouts with a new ghost story to tell other scouts.
I live in a woods. Clear sky at night, sometimes so clear that the reflection of the moon illuminates the forest. Dead quiet except for the yips of coyotes and the random rabbit dying every so often. Be shit posting on 4chan at 12 a.m., house dark except for the soft glow of PC monitors. Hear what sounds like a tree branch hit the eave of my house with a huge whump. Turn on porch light, race outside to see if eaves of house are damaged. Spot a humanoid silhouette standing on the roof right above my room. It turns and stares at me before crouching low and scurrying out of line of sight. Go back inside, lock the doors, barricade myself in my bedroom with the cat. 2 hours later find the lights in my kitchen, living room and bathroom had been turned on without me knowing. A few days later I read an article in my local newspaper that a meth addict had been caught trying to break into a local resort for the rich. No idea if he was the guy on my roof, but it seems plausible.
Uncle owns 300 acres of forest. Has problems with trespassers. They've smashed trail cams, trashed his trailer and left behind garbage. Decide to help dear uncle because it's beautiful land. Arrive early in the week with ATV and my AK-47. Teen's habit is to come on either Friday or Saturday night. Camp out on the edge then don ghillie suit for night patrols. Friday night see vehicles pull into main road. Don my ghillie suit. I'm Ghillie Man. Spend all of dusk observing as more people arrive. Roughly 2 to 3 dozen total. At dark after they have their bonfire lit I begin the first salvo in the form of chucking rocks and sticks at the group. Like I'm some sort of Neanderthal fighting off a rival tribe. Pelt them with bullshit, circle the perimeter of the bonfire then launch more rocks and sticks from a different location before moving again. Group is all kinds of pissed off. Good. They start sending in 3 or 4 at a time to hunt me. I'm Ghillie Man, I lay still, I barely breath. Continue this routine for a bit of me causing a distraction. Then investigating it, then finding nothing. Things quiet down as people start to leave. Then some of the chads of the group brought out shotguns. Oh great. They fire in random directions. And by random I mean every direction. Hunker down behind logs. Okay, maybe I poked the hornet's nest a little too hard. Solid snake my ass away. Ghillie Man may be a coward but he is no fool. Return to camp. I'm pissed off. Okay, I guess we're taking the kids' gloves off now. Hop on ATV. Lock and load AK. Rip the ATV while pointing the AK in the air firing like a madman while screaming like a lunatic. Kids run off screaming or mad scramble to their vehicles as I approach. Party assholes have vacated. They left behind a keg. Still damn near full. Put a K back in camp then sit by the bonfire. And have a red solo of cheap beer. My face when still in ghillie suit when cops arrive to bust the party.
I have something. BTW English isn't my first language. Be me, young guy with 0 experience with autism. Well prepared but still nervous. My plan was to get some psychedelic mushrooms. I took too long so I missed my bus and it was super dark. I came to a village that had hell in its name and legends said that there was a village on that place before but it collapsed into hell. basically Ohio. Decided to go at night and through forest towards some town where I wanted to buy water and beer. Everything was good, but then I heard some weird noises in front of me. Probably my imagination or some small wildlife. Noise gets near me and now I see 3 weird eyes. Realized I was in a region where some wolves been spotted, but that was 2 years ago. Decided to take my knife and started to go back while still looking at the glowing eyes. It was following me. I lost my shit and yelled, "Look mate, I don't want to be here. Just let me go back. I'm not here to hurt you." Eyes stopped moving. Decided to run to that village and stayed there until morning came and left.
Go to the local outdoor shooting range. It's unsupervised and nobody usually comes out except for the occasional good old boy because it's out in the middle of literal nowhere, Arkansas. Show up, unpack my guns and start plinking away. Get a gentle rub on my shoulder. It's a skinny middle-aged woman with a mossy oak hat on. "What's up?" She cracks a smile and tells me she likes my guns. "Cool, thanks." She keeps smiling and says something about the way I handle the recoil. "Thanks, I pick up heavy shit at work." She asks if I want to come to her cabin about 7 miles down the road and hang out. Ooh, I only got like 3 hours of daylight left. She nods and says okay, then goes back to her bench. Comes over 30 minutes later and tells me I'm a good shot. Haha, thanks. She asks again if I want to come drink beer and maybe have a bonfire at her cabin. I joke and ask her to prove she isn't a skinwalker. She says verbatim,
"I wouldn't worry about it."
I look down, check my phone for the time. She chimes in.
Haha, no signal, huh?
I awkwardly stare at her face, she's still smiling.
Well, if you're coming, better go before dark.
Why? She chuckles and says,
Because it's dangerous out here after dark.
I spaghetti and say why. Again. She keeps smiling and says,
Oh, you know, things are wild around here after dark. Especially me.
Her smile is really starting to unnerve me. Give me your address and I'll meet you right before dark. She still smiles and tells me it's not nice to lie. I noticed I haven't seen her blink this entire time. I jump up, pack my shit and quickly drive away. She's standing at the end of the range next to the road still smiling.
When I was younger, I was a woods-type kid like any kid that lives in Arkansas because that's what we're in abundance of. Woods, rice, and meth. I'd explored the entire few square miles of woods between my house and the neighboring towns and airbased the entirety of my preteens and teen years. So we have a small backyard with a privacy fence on the inside of the shitty old chain link fence. It's your normal 6 feet wood privacy fence. The chain link fence was noisy because that's how I got back into the yard from the wood. Jump on the chain link and then over the fence. For reference, it was 40 feet from the top of the roof to the fence and 30 feet from the edge of the roof. Be 15. Parents are divorced and living at dad's. Shit going down between me and dad, so I'm having dinner at mom's. Get told I'm moving back in with her. Get pissy and angsty because mom and stepdad were pieces of work back then. Go climb the roof like an animal. Texting girlfriend on my razor. Mom and sister get out of the hot tub on the back deck and go inside. Trying to calm down, enjoying the full moon for a while. Start getting really uncomfortable. Now seeing crackheads in the woods isn't uncommon. There was a trail that went for a few miles that had one specific crackhead camp there. I know what being watched feels like. Start scanning the tree line. Can't see shit. It's bright out, so I should see something. Keep scanning and notice a dark mass between the tall bushes and the fence. Trying to figure out what it is. Privacy fence is 6 feet, but I literally see the outline of head, shoulders, and down the arms. Crackhead couldn't be standing on the chain link because regular balance adjustment sends it a squeaking. It's a dark brownish outline against the black of the bushes. Start freaking out, but I wanted to know WTF it was. Get up and move to the edge of the roof to maybe get a slightly better view. I have zero clue how long I was standing there staring at this thing. The only thing I can describe it as is a weirdly modulated, deep and high-pitched scream roar. Run to the other side of the roof and park her off. Get inside crying to my mom who's cooking dinner and didn't hear a thing. I have a few more from that exact house that kind of confirms it was not a normal animal. Last time I posted this, I had some people send me links to animal sounds and none of them were it. Most of them were not native to Arkansas either.
I have a problem. I live in a house that is about 50 years old. When my family got it about 20 years ago, the neighbors all said that there was a ghost of a woman that people would see upstairs, even though the house had been vacant for a couple years. When we lived here when I was a kid, we would hear someone walking around upstairs even when no one was there. The people who rented this house from my family also reported seeing and hearing things that could not be explained upstairs. Fast forward to 2021. I move in and start renovating the house. All of a sudden activity shoots through the roof. Contractors seeing shadow people, contractors getting pushed by figures that aren't there. Contractors claiming to see tools move. You name it. At one point I was with one contractor carrying insulation upstairs, when we both saw a tape measure on the floor spinning around fast, and it just kept going on its own without losing momentum. He got scared and left. If he would have told me that without me seeing it, I would not have believed him. Still, even after securing the subfloors, self-leveling the floors, and installing new quiet hard flooring, we still hear distinct sounds of someone walking around upstairs when literally no one is there. Footsteps and all. It's become more aggressive as time has gone on. We have tried praying, talking to it, ignoring it. No luck. Is it really an old woman? Is it a demon? What is this? Anything would be appreciated.
I'll post the two that solidify my thought that it wasn't a real thing. The dog they have is an incredibly well-trained blue heeler. He's a very good boy and stepdad trained him to actually go hunting with him. They moved back to that house away from their newer house in the middle of the Ozarks. They fed and hunted deer, had pigs, goats, and ducks. Never seen him bark at a normal animal before unless he's chasing it down. Really early 20s. Early fall, so it's nice out. Still a few hours left of sun. Hanging out at the same house for dinner with my mom. Head outside to walk the dog and drink my beer. The dog is pissing, and then I see him alert. I don't know what he's looking at, but lots of the woods around the house are almost like pine forests. Can see a few dozen feet into the woods before the brush and trees take it over. Still don't see or hear shit where he's looking. It's pretty obvious what animal is jumping around in the woods judging by what it sounds like on leaves. Start hearing these giant crunching steps. Dog is low growling. Just listening to something crush a ton of damn leaves every time it steps. Call the dog and head inside. Like 2 or 3 years later. Mom and stepdad want to have a night out. I'm cheaper than a babysitter. Give me food and drink and I'm solid. My little sister is like 13 or 14 at this time. Laying on the couch just chilling. Probably watching some dumb shit on YouTube. Dog laying on the ground next to the couch. We are cozy. An hour or two goes by. He quietly picks up his head and just stares behind me. Start quietly losing my absolute shit because I know. The window is facing the backyard. He starts quietly growling and I shush him. Slowly turn my head, because of course I do, and see the curtains are wide open, because of course they are. Lights are on in the house so I can't see shit, but I can be seen. Slam those closed and call my mom. Where's the gat.png? She tells me it's on her bedside table while laughing. The bedroom is on the same side of the house. The back side. Through the sunroom with floor-to-ceiling windows. And their room has big bay doors leading to the deck. Standing in front of the door to the sunroom. See the sunroom curtains and blinds open, see the curtains in their room open. Nice. We do this shit quickly because big feet ain't taking my sister. Run my ass to her bedside table. Equip the 1911. Sit my ass back on the couch. Nothing else happened until they got back except every so often the dog would pick his head up and stare at the blinds like he knew something was out there. Basically bro, screw that house.
Just FYI, this is not my story, but I heard it firsthand from a random guy at a local bar, so take everything with a grain of salt. I regularly visit this bar, so I know most of the people that come and get wasted. One fine day, I saw a new guy in the bar. Never seen him before, so asked the bartender about him, and he nodded his head saying he's clueless too. This guy looked pretty shook up, like really shook up. I tried to call him, but he didn't respond. Bartender asked him to exit the bar multiple times if he didn't order anything. He said sorry and left the bar. Weird.exe. He came back running and asked for a drink. He kept murmuring that he shouldn't have gone there, and how that event has caused him to start drinking again. bartender and I thought he was some weirdo out of his mind, so left him alone and minded our own business. After a few minutes and drinks later, he started to cry saying that he is done for, and how he shouldn't have put his nose where it didn't belong, and blah blah blah. I was pissed because of his antics, so I told to go home and cry without bothering everybody around him. He then apologized to me for ruining my mood and ordered a drink for me. I told him it was cool and asked him what was that all about. He looked really scared and started to stammer saying that he needs to go home. So I thanked him for the drink and told him goodbye. He left the bar and immediately ran back inside saying he can't go home. When I begged him to tell me WTF is up with him, he said that I wouldn't believe him. So I told him that I would believe every word of his and even promised not to tell anyone. He then scanned the bar a few times and finally said okay. Apparently, this weirdo dude went camping just beside a forest. He then thought it would be fun to explore the forest alone just for shits and giggles, and that was when he tripped and fell face first on the ground. So after he got up to check what tripped him, he saw a manhole cover plate. He was surprised to find that in the forest, so instead of leaving it alone, he moved the plate and found a ladder going down below under the ground. So he climbed down and walked a little further, and that was when he heard somebody yelling at him to stop right there. Turns out somebody was talking to him using the CCTV camera. He was then asked to stand and wait there. After a few seconds, he was asked to walk a little forward and then asked to stop again. That was when he saw a door open and two men with guns inside. He couldn't look inside any further because they both were blocking his view. They both then started to interrogate him about walking into uncharted territories and bombarded him with questions such as how did he find this place? Did anybody tell him? Is he alone? Whether he told anybody about this location. He then gave them all their answers, and they warned him not to come anywhere close ever again and not to tell anybody about this. When he turned back and was leaving, they called him by his name and told him that he would be paid a visit and told him his current living location if he ever told anybody about this. Shocked by this, he ran away to his camp, packed up and left. Next day, he wanted to make sure what he went through was real and not some stupid dream, so he went there again searching for that manhole cover, but he never found it.
Camping in woods with friends. Had been camping and fishing out deep in the forest with my dad before, but this time was in shallow forests on an Air Force base. Most of us were in Boy Scouts, so we weren't completely clueless in the forest, not that there was any real danger to begin with. About 4 p.m., nightfall happens around 5, so things are already getting hard to see. Shit tent and non-functional campfire perched near a clearing. Hear footsteps crinkling in the distance, not too far away. See a man in a suit standing in the center of the clearing surveying it. Stand there for about a minute until two other men arrive, both dressed in slim blue airman uniforms. One has a rifle slung around his back. We were able to pick out some of the loose conversation, but for the most part it was entirely incomprehensible. Man in a suit yelled at the airman with a rifle about not doing his job, something or other about shifts and patrol. When the men first came out, we were more interested than anything, but after the guy with the gun showed up, it was a lot less fun. Too scared to leave the tent, go to bed several hours later. Pack up next morning and leave without anything happening. Next day, I noticed an unusual amount of military police. Police cars are far less common than in any normal city. One of my friend's dads got handcuffed while on a bike ride in the forest we set up camp in. Heard a year later that guns went missing from a storage unit or something like that, and some guy awaiting court went missing that same day. Entire event was talked about but kept strictly under wraps. No official information publicized. Nothing too interesting or paranormal. But it would have been cool if me and my idiot friends became victims of a gunman who fled into the woods, on a military base no less.
I hope that you enjoyed tonight's broadcast. If you enjoyed tonight's story, then please subscribe to the channel, as more green texts will appear daily. A new broadcast will appear when the clock strikes midnight Central Time.
Remember to check out the Odyssey page in the description for a second archive of the channel's videos.